Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome again. A pleasant day to you wherever you're watching from and listening to us. My name is Omolola, and it's gonna be real bad today. Bob is smiling at me, and Taya is also smiling at me in the studio. We are still talking about sex. However, we're putting a twist to it. And so today we shall be discussing family planning. Yeah, you heard me right. I know a lot of people will be like, family planning for kids? Yes, yes, we're talking about family planning. And what that means is, like Bob said, borrowing Bob words, talking about the bees and the birds of preparing our children to prevent them coming to us and saying, Mom, Dad, I am pregnant. And as usual, I won't be doing this alone. I have with me Bab, I have Tayo and Tony. By the way, Tony is in Nigeria and she will join us when she is able. Thank you so much for joining us today and welcome to the show. So let's hit the ground and running. Tayo,
Thanks for having me.
you're
Hello,
welcome.
everyone.
Hi,
Yes.
Bab.
So today, I'm going to take the back seat and I'll let you guys. But of course, I'll
No,
chip in if I have a question.
Yeah.
Tayo, I'm going to put you on the hot
one
seat
seat on the
today.
front seats.
No, no, I because I can't be driving and checking back to see you guys. So I want you guys to be at the front seat. Tayo, I'm gonna put you on the out seat first. When you saw the topic, family planning, what came to mind?
Oh, what came to mind when I saw family planning? A couple of things. If people have not been following us, when the first thing that comes to somebody's mind when you say family planning is going to be okay. A couple, they want to plan, how they're going to have the kids, and all that. But from what we've been talking about before, it's about sex education, right? More of like, okay, how you can educate your kids about sex,
Mm,
yeah. So first of all, I did for my parents. I no, they did not sit me down, give me the birds and the bees talk. Nobody gave me that talk. You know, um, I think I learned of media, TV, friends, which is a bad place to learn. Uh, but I think for my kids, I have four kids, right? My oldest is 16,
mm,
and I have one thing I have done was first of all to let them understand the value system or belief system. I think that's the right word, belief
mm,
system. As Christians, I'm like, well, your dad, I'm a Christian, and I'm teaching you guys in the way of the Bible because I've made so much mistakes in my past. I wish, you know, you can't turn back time, but
mm,
I really would have loved, I really wish I had followed the Bible. So many tragic mistakes I've made. But now, and I'm like, listen, you are young. You have me as your dad. I've been around for over half a century. That's what I tell them. I'm 50. So I have
Over
over,
half a century.
half a
over,
century.
That's
That's
over half
huge.
scary.
a
That's a
century.
scary thought.
I know, right? So I say I have all this experience that if you just pay attention to what I'm teaching you, you're going to turn out good. You're going to do
Mm,
very well. You're going to avoid all the mistakes that I have made. The regrets that I have. You're not going
mm,
to go through. It's going to be dumb for you to make the same mistakes your father made. you
mm,
know, After your father has poured his heart out to you to say, okay, these are my mistakes, these are my regrets. So going back to belief system, I try to tell them that listen, our belief system, the standard is the Bible, but for the Bible to work for you, it's conditional, meaning that you have a big part to play. It's not magic.
Mm.
But if you're not willing to put in the work, it's not going to work for you.
Yeah.
But that's just summary. So I teach them a lot of stuff, but again, sometimes they block me out. They're like, yeah, dad, okay, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Because
okay,
I
okay.
mean, you've said a few things that I know my girls will block you out. So because you see, I mean, when I saw the family planning, even though we talked about it last week before Lola put it on, I said, just like you, people are going to think, what are they talking about? Are these children now planning even before they go into a relationship? But no, we didn't want to say, let's talk about sex again because it twisted. But the point
Mm.
is, what pointers are we giving to our young people about the subject of sex or in their relationship? Premarital sex. That is the problem. Is a premarital sex that's going to bring you into that conversation of, hi, mom, sorry, I'm pregnant, or I've made a girl pregnant.
Mm.
And like you say, telling my children or telling our children our experiences and how we don't want them to learn it. I often ask that question to you or to myself as a parent, saying it to them. Are they listening to it? Or they're turning around and saying to you, that's your life experience. Why can't I make my own?
Mm.
Now, they don't say it to your face immediately that, okay, your experience doesn't matter. But it's like they always relate it to the fact that you want me to be a doctor, but I've decided to become a travel agent
Mm.
because they need to know that you're helping them form their own path and not saying, this is what I did and that was wrong. And they also know everything that we did is circumstantial. It depends on where you are, the environment you're in, what situation made you push yourself or get you into that. And I think, you said something as well, Tony, about Tayo, sorry, about the experiences that we get from friends. Here, the information highway to our young people is enormous. But in Africa, that information highway wasn't there. So
Mm.
your friend can tell you all sorts of things that they've been doing, but they haven't done anything. They're just bigging themselves up. So sometimes we follow our friends' examples or their stories, and you be the one who goes and does the wrong thing that you're supposed to do because somebody's just bragging, but you think that's also another point for me too. So when do we talk to our children about, is it okay for me to say to you, if you do go, I have girls, if you go and sleep with a guy and you're not strong, there's no principles, you're not understanding what you're doing, for as long as you have your period, you can get pregnant. And then it gives you the conundrum of, am I having the baby or are we getting rid of the baby? It becomes a bigger part of your life for the rest of your life. And I think we don't get it, we don't say it serious enough. That it's not just a decision making. It's one of those things that as soon as that line is crossed, it follows you for the rest of your life.
Rest of
Even if you
it.
didn't keep the baby, even worse still, it follows you, it attacks your mental health, your psychological responsibilities, your
Right.
physical health. And those are some of the things that we have to be brave enough to talk to our children and not be afraid to say it because we
Right.
don't want them to come. So I think, let me look at my child. I'll see how extrovert my child is.
Mm.
I always call some of my youngest girl, we call her, social butterfly because she has a whole lot of friends and will always come and give you the list of itinerary of, things that you're doing. Is it okay, mom?
Right.
I then need to know that I need to be actively asking questions that
Mm.
ask her to ask those same questions about herself, her decision making. Has she understood the principles and the values of her as a woman?
Mm.
And what is your most possession as a woman?
Mm.
Even when you're dressed, and somebody will say, oh, that's too short. And then She'll get upset. Why is it too short? Just because I'm dressed like this, I'm not inviting. But in your mind, that's not your intention. The idea is I need to let you know that it conjures certain thoughts in the opposite sex when they see you. And then they may not necessarily come on to you, but you have to go through the hassle of continuously defending your behavior. So, those conversations are what we need to have with them so that as a young woman, as a young man, they know decisions have consequences. And some of those decisions are even, where do I go with that person? Am I on my own? Is it a group of us? Are we sitting in the, in the cinema? How close is he that likely to be able to? We're human. If somebody touches you, you will respond to it or react to it. You know, you
Exactly.
watch, yeah. So I think is very important that we understand all we're trying to do is say, when do we tell our children? What do we say to them about preventing being pregnant before you marry?
That is really, really interesting, honestly. And I think we hit the ground and running, and I
Yeah.
really appreciate that. And just to piggyback on what both of you said, I remember when I was a teenager, nobody told me about that, even
Oh.
though my mother, my father were there. My mom, it's so funny. My mom told me this. And she didn't know what I know. Like Taya said, most of the things we learned from friends. You
Mm,
know, she didn't know what I knew about menstruation, about sex, about, having a boyfriend, talking with men, and
mm.
stuff like that. She told me when she knows I started my menstruation that, look, if a boy should as much as touch you, you're pregnant. So I just looked at her because she didn't know what I know. I
Yeah.
just looked at her like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
you know? And when I started, I just told her I needed a pad. And she was like, eh? In Yoruba, like, "Kí lo fẹ́ fi ṣe? What do you want to
Mm,
use it for?" I was like, what do they use it for? So it's funny how our
Right.
parents do not prepare us, even for
mm,
puberty,
Mm.
talk less of preparing us for having safe sex, if you
yeah.
must. But maybe I should throw out this controversial issue. And of course, I know a lot of people are watching out there, not only Christians, even the
Yeah.
Muslims and even other religions are watching and listening. What do you think? Tayo started by saying that his principle follows the Bible principle of sex
Hmm.
before marriage. What do we think as parents about premarital sex? Is it something that and that's all tied into this? I know that's a whole lot, a big topic on its own, but to touch on it briefly, because when we want to start telling our children about using contraceptive, I remember when my daughter turned 13 and we went for the annual checkup. I was, you know, the, sharing this with Bab before we came on
Mm.
air. The doctor asked her, "Are you having sex? Are you using contraceptive?" My daughter had to come out and like, hold on, mommy, what is contraceptive? What is, And I was like, oh Lord, that's another topic for another day.
Another day.
But as parents, what should we expect? Is it something to start discussing with our kids? Should we just open the can of worms and just let them have it? Or do we have to wait until they go for their annual checkup or until a friend, like I'm sure a friend told all of us how it is, what it feels, or
What
how to
they've done.
do it? Yes. Bob, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I think, just like everything that we've been saying so far, conversation, communication is the best for bringing up your children. You also need to get your child into a space where you can talk about these things. So it depends on the relationship you have a child. This is not something you can bulldoze to them, because you can teach them things they don't know. We all know how much they're learning from outside. What you're trying to do is to make sure they have the right information. Okay. So when we say the Bible says no sex before marriage, I've had some young people say to me, okay, I've read it. I know the Bible says no sex before marriage. What am I supposed to do with these feelings that I get when I'm with that guy that I like? Where does the Bible say on that one? Do you see what I mean? So it's actually, yes, we take the Bible, now relate it to the person's lifestyle, the person. And I need
Right.
you to understand that I don't want you to come and be pregnant. At the same time, I definitely am not encouraging sex before marriage. So let's have the conversation. This person that you think you like so much, can you see them in your future? Because if they're going to be the one that you feel you have such strong feelings for, you may have to sleep with them. Why can't you wait till you're married? You are value to them. They show you the value of who you are and how they think of you. So if you're a believer, you tell me you have the extra pressure because the person you're with also doesn't go to church. Because if they're coming to church and reading the same Bible as you and your parents are reading, then they know where you're coming from. So you two put strategies in place where you can work away from that. And I said to the young girls, these feelings are very short term, they're very short lived whilst you're with them. If you have the strength of mind, you have to know that, okay, let's talk about something else. It will pass. If you don't have the strength of mind and you are home, it's on the phone and this and this happened, go in the bathroom and have a shower. You'll change. So we need to give them some practical steps that helps them manage it. First, be conscious of this conversation where it's going. Secondly, the feeling is there. Why am I feeling like this? What can I? Because if you go near the person and you suddenly thought, no, I don't want to do this, you'll be able to switch it off. So why can't you, in your own space or in the conversation with them, switch it off? Because you can say to them, I like you and I really want to be with you. However, I don't think this is the time. It's not right. I don't know you well enough. I don't know what we're doing. And if the Bible says we have to get married before, then I need to be aware of that. There's also the fact that as soon as you sleep with somebody, a bit of your soul is attached to them. You can never take it back and always behave like when you were just friends. It changes, whether we like it or that's how God has made us. It changes. So am I in for the long haul? Because some of these questions we can't give a strict answer. The person, even God gives us a choice of life and death. Why do I want to say to my child, don't have sex? Bam. No. I want to give you the principles that should guide you in what you think you're going to do. Be ready, be prepared. The person's emotions is not just your emotions. What emotional space is that person in that you're going to be with? Because sometimes we get stories that says when the guys just want to sleep with you, they do everything, and then as soon as you sleep together, the thing is gone. And we've had
Is that
guys
right,
confirm
Tayo?
it.
Oh, 100%
We've
right.
had Yeah, we've had guys confirm it.
100% right.
So it's not a
Because it's
myth. Yeah, you know.
because you are trying to you have that this desire to have sex,
Yeah, it's a
consume
target,
guys as a target,
Yes.
and you're going to do whatever it takes to
Yes.
you know
Yeah.
gifts, because you know what women like.
Yeah.
First of all, sweet conversation, right?
Yeah.
You're beautiful, you look nice, your hair is beautiful, sweet words, right?
Yeah.
That make her feel, oh, special. Then gifts, money, all this stuff, and this is where the love from a father is important to a
Mm,
daughter.
Yeah.
mm,
Because if the child is not getting that love from the
mm.
house, and all of a sudden somebody from outside is like, oh, you know what, you're nice, you're beautiful, you're attractive, you're special, you're cute, you mean the world to me. I mean, you keep saying all these flowers, which maybe the girl has never heard before. Maybe she's coming from a dysfunctional home,
Mm-hmm.
So that love is so being a father, this whole thing is
Tayo,
complex.
your four kids have a luxury, you know. At the moment, there's a higher percentage of homes that are single parenting.
Mm.
That's the unfortunate, the higher percentage. But I take it back
I'm
to
a
the
single parent,
church.
by the way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I take it back to the church, actually. Marriages are seemingly looking a bit better. Some churches are encouraging it in a way that helps it to stay. We've moved away from the place where there were divorce constantly. However, the way the society is at the moment, there's a lot of single parenting.
Oh
Now,
yeah.
you as a man, what I will put to you, Tayo, what is the difference between your approach to a woman you just don't want to bed and a woman you want a life with? What is your approach? How do you think a young person behave? You know, the one that just want to sleep with you and the one that, oh, this is the woman for the rest of my life.
Respect.
That's
Respect.
it.
If you're
My
gonna
point is, yeah,
if you want to be with somebody with the rest of it, you're gonna respect that person's space, you're gonna respect their body. But
yes,
if you're like you don't want to you're like, and again, you should understand this, man. First of all, this whole thing is connected. When I mean connected, like
hmm,
the family upbringing is so key. I
it
can't.
really is.
That is, you can't underestimate that because I know a lot of ladies. I'm just thinking right now,
Mm.
they were abused,
Yeah.
sexually abused.
Hmm.
Maybe not by their father, maybe by their uncle or family member, and maybe they told their parents, and their parents they don't want to believe
Believe.
what they say, believe them. So they are searching for acceptance.
Mm.
That's a mental case. There's so many
Yeah.
people out there searching for acceptance that,
Yeah.
and if guy just tells you, I accept you, I care about you, I love you, man, that's it.
It seals the deal, isn't
This
it?
is the deal.
But
Yeah,
the
it
thing
seals
is,
the
you
deal.
see, it's okay for us to be talking about this,
Yeah.
but and it's fine when we're trying to educate and enlighten our kids. But how do we? Because these are all the process, right? How do we start to instill all of this in our kids that when they're out there, they're able to just look and like you said, you're a single father. I'm a single mother,
Hmm.
and Barbara
I'm
is
a
also a
single
single
mother.
mother. You
Yeah.
know, how can my daughter or even my son go out there and have this strength
Yeah.
to look at you and say, even though I never had a father in my life that told me I loved me, or that showed me how a man should behave to a woman appropriately. I am
Hmm.
very intentional with my words now.
Yeah.
We have a lot of father out there in the life of their daughter, but they're not showing them how a man is supposed to behave to a woman.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. And the example these girls are seeing and not what we're talking about now. This is the ideal world.
Yeah.
But let's come to the real world. How can my daughter go out there with all of this pressure without being harmed with either to protect herself or not to have sex? Yes, we may have talked about safe sex. I mean, keeping sex exclusively for the marital bed. And then she's out there. This thing is out there. It's on their phone.
It's everywhere.
It's
It's
all the
everywhere.
games they play.
Yeah, it's
And
everywhere.
their hormone is going out of the roof. We growing up were able to control our emotions to a level, to an extent,
Hmm.
but they don't have that opportunity. So
Yeah.
how do we arm our children and empower them to be able to look at that guy or look at that girl? Because it's not only happening to girls, it happens
Yeah.
to
All
boys.
of them. It's all of them. And I think
Yeah.
there's the element of peer pressure. So if somebody's doing that, that person is going to do it. But I think the only way I see as the ability to talk to them about it is creating a conversational environment with your child. Because sometimes when the situation is already happening, that's not the time to give them advice, because their emotions are all over the place. They don't really listen. For me, look for signs of her bringing certain conversations up, or, oh, mom, you won't believe what happened to my friend. You know that guy, she's been there. And then I'm thinking, okay, so what do you think? How would you relate to it? How does that make you think? How do you think it's impacting on your friend? Okay. So if I have the opportunity and the ability to have that conversation with her, I will put in my 1p, my thoughts that tells me, okay, well, in a situation like this, you've got to look at yourself. You've got to do this. Make sure you're understanding this. Let's talk. If there's something you don't understand, ask me. Let's have a conversation. At a period when I had all my four girls at home, we used to sometimes do movie nights, maybe on Friday, and then we can talk into the early hours of the morning with them leading the conversation. But what they don't realize is you start the conversation, but I take you off somewhere else so that I know some of the conversation or some of the information that is in my head, you're getting it. Because there was a lot of crucial points in their lives that I believe I missed. So when I have become aware and wanting to make things better, I don't miss the opportunity, because sometimes if the topic comes up, that's when to talk about it. If they come to you and they talk about it that is being brought up at school or is somebody else's situation, take that opportunity to talk to your child. Because once the child say, I have girls so I can speak to girls, once the girl is talking about this particular boy and I want to do this and we're going to go out and we're going to do this, sometimes it's very difficult to gain their attention. It's like living the life of a Christian. If you don't already have the word of God in you, in the moment of a situation that you need to speak God's word to it, that's not the time to learn it. That's like how Jesus, was being tempted by the devil. If he didn't have, even he, the child of God, didn't have the word of God inside of him, where would his quotations be coming from? So I believe I need to talk to my child, not when the situation is happening, but anytime, any opportunity. So we don't put age on it. I think that's what we're doing. We don't put age on it, because a teenager who's had their period can get pregnant. A young man who is seeing things in the morning can get somebody pregnant. So we are saying part of puberty information should be, what do you do with sex? What do you do when you find somebody that you like? Because these guys who just want to do something with you and move on, if you actually push them and resist, there's the one that's going to say, well, if you don't want me, somebody else is going to want me. Why? I'm just telling you, just waste my time, and you don't like me. If you really like me, you do. They're not the ones who's respecting you. Because then, as much as you like them, if you give in, you're going to be the girl that he disrespects. Now you've become a piece of item, a piece of meat for him, and then
I
he will keep coming
remember
to you. Yeah.
I remember this song in Nigeria. I don't know if Tayo, you remember it. That was King Sunny Ade and Oyenka Owenu. They were singing about, if you love me, you go wait for me.
Yeah.
And I think that song
Yeah, I
came
remember
about
the
in
song.
Nigeria at a time
Yeah.
when there were a lot of pregnancy, um, um, unwanted pregnancy, and the government trying to educate about family planning, about using safe sex and all of that.
Yeah.
And that takes me to my next question, and that is it appropriate, even as parents? Because, and I want us to look at it from a cultural perspective. Is it appropriate, even as parents, to introduce our kids to contraceptive, to talking about, okay, if you must have sex, at least have a safe sex. If you remember the video, the first video we played when we started this, the man
Yeah.
was talking with his son when he was getting ready to go out on a dance with a girl about safe sex. Is it something that as African parents in the diaspora and even in Africa, wherever you are, is it something that is appropriate for us as parents, a topic that we should be bringing up with our children?
Hmm.
Because I know a lot of parents out there will be like, "Ah, how can I even discuss sex? Okay, at the got to sex, meaning we understand sex. But if I'm telling my child, hey, you have to use contraceptive, that means I'm telling my child it is okay to have sex. Because I remember I've had conversations like that in the past with some people. So is it appropriate for us? Tayo.
Yeah, so I just exactly like the last thing you said, that it's okay to have sex. You know, if my son comes to me and I've not actually told my son it's okay to have sex. I've not really um told him that. And the reason I did not
You
tell
should be
him,
getting ready for that, Tayo.
no, 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 I tell him about sex all the time, but about and but you see, but my so this is it, right? So there are two school of thought. Um, the school of thought of that, okay, they are not Christians, even though you want them to be Christians. So they are going to fall off and make mistakes. Why don't you prepare for the mistakes which they are going to fall into? That's a good question. I will not encourage that, but at the same time, I will personally, I'm not going to encourage premarital sex, but at the
Oh,
same time,
Tayo, you're scared of the subject, boy. Listen, I think I have been lucky. I haven't had to say that because my girls have all had difficult period moments. So what the doctors have always recommended as they struggle is to take go on contraceptive because it helps. It kind of reduces the pains that they get. Now, I say to my girls, I'm not going to say to you, have sex or not have sex. I let you know, sex sex is reserved for the marital bed. And if you're having sex, you're telling me you are a grown up. So if you're doing what adults must do, you need to question yourself, are you ready to make that decision? I will not make it for you because in the moment of you going to make that decision, the person you're with, I don't know them. I can't assess them. I don't know their mind. So if I say to you blankly, give you this blanket decision that don't have sex, you're not even want to talk about it with somebody, but you might have somebody that you like. You see a future in them. I want you to be able to discuss with them that this is a decision that if we do, we are ready to say we're going to be man and wife. And if we are, then we might as well wait till we are there to do it because sex is reserved for the marital bed. So if we're going to do it, if you, as my child, you're strong, you're coming to tell me you're an independent woman, you're making that decision, that's an adult decision you're making. My duty as a parent is to give you the information that will help you make the right decision. So for me, I believe you will make the right decision. And the right decision must be what will benefit your future, not a decision that satisfies me as your mother. Because this is an adult. This is a decision you make as an adult. So if you decide you're going on contraceptive because you started something, if I see it and you're not doing as I said because the doctor said because of your period we need to put your contraceptive and you've decided to do it, I will be asking that conversation. Are you doing this because you're having sex? Who is this person? What's going on? Well, I didn't know you were getting married. As light as I make it, that conversation. So, if in that moment you feel guilty, you feel bad, you kind of get off, you will start to think of your ways. Because, God our Father does not give us rules that we can't live by. He says the decision is yours. Have the information. And I think sometimes, as African mothers and fathers, we are quick to say you can't and you can. When you do that, you reduce the person's independence, the identity that you're building in them. Sometimes I close my eyes and I'm holding my tummy. I said, "Oh my God, she's going to make that decision. Oh God, help me. Let it be the right one." Because I know I can't take, I don't want to take that decision away from them. As soon as I agree they are adults, I have to give them the ability to make the right and the wrong decisions. And God says, "Come back to me and I'll forgive you and make you new." Why do we have to start it from different angles and on certain subjects and not on certain subjects? We need to teach them to be mature before, see yourself as a mature young person before you're making that decision. Because I don't know, because my children have my history. So they they have my history. Some are wrong, some I wish I hadn't gone that way, but it happened. Who was there in that moment when I'm making that decision? You see, so if we take, because otherwise you're easily disappointed in your children because they disobeyed you, but they can't tell you the whole context of when they had to get into a particular situation that they had to make a decision. So I think I would rather just keep having that conversation, keep reminding you that this is for adults. Have fun. Let me know. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it before you make that decision.
So, just to clarify, are you saying that even if the child will be having sex, the
Mhm.
child should discuss that with you as a mother?
I hope so. I hope to, but they don't. They won't come back to you. That's why before they get to that place, pump them with as much information that will help them make the right decision. Never missing the point that, yes, I know the feelings are there, the enticement is there, but I
Mm,
have sufficient information to know that if I'm going to do this, who are you that I'm doing it with?
mm,
Why do I feel I can't wait till I'm getting married? What
mm.
is it that's causing me to? Will I be able to live myself tomorrow? And that's adult decision because an addict, sex is adult.
Yes, yes, that's an adult's business, and it's funny we're
Yes.
talking about this. Thinking about the topic 2 nights ago when I couldn't sleep. I was laying in bed and I was thinking about my life. Like, okay, talking about sex, talking about this. Like, how did you go about that as a teenager,
Yes.
as a young girl?
Uh-huh.
So it gets. I think it's get to a place that you have to sit down and take stock,
Yeah.
as a girl. I don't know if men take stock or keep stocks like that. I think for men, Tayo, I'm sorry, you're the only guy here. So it's
You're
like
on the
I'm not
spot.
trying to throw you under the bus, but I don't know. I think that's a personal opinion. For men, it can be a conquest. And I want to acknowledge a few people. In the next 3 minutes, we will be going on break. I want to acknowledge Danielle Baidu. She said true and she put a heart sign. Thank you so much. And I also want to acknowledge Ayo Muiwa. She subscribed to our channel. I say thank you so much to everyone that subscribed and that is viewing right now. I want to say thank you for joining. And please, if you have any questions, comments, just drop your comments and your question on there and like, share, and subscribe to as many people as you can because this is a journey for us as parents, especially I don't know for people back home, but especially for us in the diaspora. It is a struggle. Kids go to school and they see their classmates come to school pregnant, and they hear their classmates talking about, oh, we didn't wear a condom. I think I may be guilty. I'm not even sure if I've ever mentioned condom to my daughter
Yeah.
or my son. But of course, does she know about it? Yes, she may, because she may have been taught in school. But I cannot remember having a conversation with that as open as I think I am with her, you know. And that's, I'm sure, the challenge that will face a lot of parents will face out there, especially
Right.
from our culture. Taya, do you think? I want you to think about that question. You as well, Barbara.
Mm.
After the break, we will continue. Do you think, as a parent, especially as a father, and especially being a single father, you can sit not only your son, but also your daughter and talk about contraceptive? And if you must have sex, um, there is something called safe sex. And if you think you can do it, I want you to ponder on it. We'll be going on break in 1 minute.
Mhm.
How should we go about it? But we're not going to answer that question. And remember, if you have a comment, if you have a question, please put it in our chat box. We'll see it, we'll read it out, and I'm sure Bab and Tayo will be able to answer it. This is a learning curve for all of
Yeah.
us parents out there. I would let the production team take it away, and when we come back, we shall continue.
Life has a way of surprising us, and sometimes that means finding ourselves single again. But at Single Again with LFA and Babs, we believe in embracing change and finding beauty in every moment.
Join our community of strong individuals who are ready to take action and create a life they love. Together, we'll navigate the twists and turns of being single again, finding beauty in every moment. So whether you're redefining your goals, finding new passions, or simply seeking connection, let's embark on this beautiful journey together.
Search for Single Again with LFA and Babs on your favorite podcast platform. It's time to embrace a single again status and live a life that's lively, encouraging, and beautiful.
Single Again,
With LFA and Babs.
where your story
Begin. And Babs.
And you and I both know, Barbara, professionally, abuse is abuse.
Yeah.
The cycle of abuse continues.
You need
The
to raise
abuser-
the kid.
Yeah.
Your story begins here. Single again. Single with LFA and Barbs.
Oh dear.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying tuned. Yes, that was Single Again with LFA and Bab. That is where we talk about everything being single again, as a man, as a woman, and as a parent. So join us. It's on podcast. We haven't started that live yet, Bab. We're still on podcast with that. So
We're
join
still
us, subscribe.
podcast. Yes.
Yes. Join us, subscribe, share, and like, and share with every single person you know. And we are back on A Mother's Body. Thank you for joining us. Welcome back, everybody. And before we went on the break, I threw it out there to Tayo and Barbara, and I was asking, like, is that something as an African father and mother that we should sit down and discuss with our kids. I know some people will think that, oh, that's old school, that is only for women. But hey, men also go through hysterectomy, to a lot of options for men as well, not only women. And that's why we're throwing it out there for everybody. And Daniela says, yes, I remember in secondary school that conversations I had about sexual activities. Yes, most of these things happen when we're in high school, middle
Yeah.
school, high school. And in college, I don't think people talk about it that much. So, Tayo, I said I'm going to start with you first.
Yeah, on the spot again.
Yep.
Is that a
So,
conversation that you ever think that I want to have with my daughter as a man from a man's perspective and with my son?
all right. So for me, yes, I'm going to be very open with my kids about sex, meaning that number one, I tell my daughter, number one, your body, you don't want, first of all, you're going to, if you're dating in what age, 16, 17, 18, you're going to date and break up and date and break up and date so many, you're going to date a lot of people. So you don't even think that this one's going to be your forever. One of the
Mm.
problem with kids or teenagers that, oh, this guy broke up with me, you're going to have a lot of breakups. So don't think that this person that you're dating when you're 16 or 17 or 18 is going to be there forever. No, other people are going to come. He's going to break up with you. You're going to break up with him. He's going to break up with you. So, and I'm like, okay, how many of them do you want to have sex with? So, first of all, um, you're dating somebody at the age of 15 or 16. He stays with you for a year. Okay, another one comes back and talks to you, stays with you for another year or two.
You're being very
Another,
generous. These days, I don't think they stay for up to a
They
year.
don't even last that long. They just
I don't
need,
think so.
you know,
You're
and I
being very
think,
generous.
yeah, and one of the problems is dating app. You see,
yes,
they're all on the app and they're swiping. So they're seeing things. They don't
they
commit.
are. And
Mm.
but before we even get to that
Yeah.
whole sex talk,
Dating app. Yeah.
this is one major thing I found out. Music, Cardi B, Beyonce, a lot of um Ice Spice,
Mm.
which one else is there? Um, all these guys, all these people talk about is sex. That's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all. If you listen to Cardi B's music or Ice Packs, there's another called Glorilla.
There's a
Uh,
lot more of them. A lot
yeah.
of.
I
That's why
mean,
we're saying that the information on sex now for our young people is information highway. It's just
Ariana Grande.
everywhere. Yeah.
Ariana Grande
Yeah.
sang a song one time, and I couldn't believe the lyrics of the song. And
Yeah.
And most of the kids that listen to Ariana
Yeah.
Grande music
Children.
are
Yeah.
they're young kids.
Yeah.
You won't be, find just if you can look up any of Ariana Grande's song and look up the lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
So many of these musicians out there, they are pushing sexual
Yeah.
innuendos because that's what sells.
It
Even if the
sells. Yeah.
singer don't want to sing it, the producers and the music company will be like, "You better sing this."
Change the words. Yeah.
Yeah, change the words because they want to sell this record. So they have songwriters to write these songs for these people because I'm sure, I mean, not Ariana, I don't know if Ariana Grande writes all her songs, but or if Ice Spice writes all her songs, but even Cardi B, but they have songwriters that can even write songs for these music artists, and they just
Yeah.
have to
Even if
sing
they
it.
don't write it, they're the ones singing it anyway.
Yeah.
So it's information they're giving. They're giving to our young
So
people.
these kids in middle school, they are exposed to a lot of heavy
Mm,
sexual lyrics
mm,
very
mm,
early in life.
mm,
So they are already talking to your children when they are like
mm,
12 years old,
mhm.
11 years old, 13 years old.
Even
And that is
younger.
why
Yeah.
um the doctors are, so when you take your daughter And the doctor will be like, okay, are you taking contraceptive at the age of 13? Because the doctors know that at the age of 11, 12, they'll be listening
Some
to a
of them
song
are active.
that
Yeah. Yeah.
very heavy sexual lyrics, you know.
Mhm.
So,
And I have to interject, Tayo, and I'm interjecting because when you talk about the song and the lyrics of the song, I remembered some times ago I was listening to, I think it was on the radio, and um, a musician was interviewed. I cannot remember his name. This was years back, and this was a guy that he raps, and in his music, a lot of vulgar words, and he
Mhm.
said something. Not only him, because I found out later on that most of the stars do the same thing. He has a clean version of his music that his son listens to, and he sells the dirty version out there to people. And I come to realize that most of the stars don't even have television in their home. They don't allow their kids to watch their movies, especially
mm,
the PGs one. Some of the family ones they would, but most of the other ones, the rated movies, they don't allow their kids to watch it. And that is so sad because even our society is not encouraging them. And Unoma has a question here. She says, how do we monitor this music? I personally see this as a major problem.
How do you monitor it? I mean, it's like any rules in your own home, isn't it? Because the idea is, I think this is what I believe is the conversation and the principles you give to your child. Now, when we give them principles, the way in which we give them is what will make it either guard their life or they step out of their house and they discard it. Is if you take a scenario of when you're saying to your children how to dress and how not to dress, and you're not taking their point of view on their choices of outfits, they'll listen to you, but when they step out, there's always a second pair of item in their bag where they're going to change, because in front of mom or in front of dad, I'm not going to do it, but this is who I am, this is what I want. So I think when we look at sex as an item, music as an item, I feel like I missed the point. The point is, let me give the principles of responsibility, quality living, standard of living to my child. And then when they are out there and the information is coming to them, they should be able to sip it and see, actually, I'm okay listening to this, but it's not having an impact on me. Oh, this is too bad. I don't want to hear it. And actually be able to switch it off, because it's the information is so vast and everywhere. Unless you're putting them at home, not allowing them to go out, not allowing them to party with friends, you can't stop them listening to that music. But have a conversation that says, why do you listen to that music? Why is your, I mean, sometimes I'll go in and my daughter's listening to some music, and then I'll hear the words and I thought, oh, that's a bit bad, isn't it? What? Why are they having the need to listen to? And I said, oh, I'm just listening to the beats. I haven't even thought about the words. I said, well, they're going down your brain. So pay attention.
Yeah,
So
and
I
that's
think,
that's
yeah,
that's really a good point because I remember Tayo and I think we've had that conversation before in the past, Tayo, if you remember. I think my own style is different, and I'm not saying everybody should take that
no.
style. What I do is I have a teenager that is so inquisitive, that is so want to be into everything. I listen to the songs with her. That's what I do because I can't win that battles.
No.
And I think when parents finally realize that I cannot win every battles,
You can't.
sometimes you have to bring yourself to their level and listen into it with them.
Yeah.
And you know what I do? I took it a notch up. I'm like, okay, let's listen to my own old school, the Lionel Richie, the
And you
Michael
know,
Jackson. Yes, the
they
what's her
gave us
name?
music
Mariah Carey, the Jennifer Lopez, and all of those. And I'm like, compare this music
with
with
now.
your music, and let's listen to the lyrics. Even though she still goes ahead to listen to her BTS, the whatever, I can't even keep up with the names. I am always like, mm, you know. And let me quickly read this. Ewerike Okon Okonya said, bring them up in the fear of the Lord and leave the rest to God. Yes, we're leaving the rest to God.
Yeah.
But I am of this school. God will not come down and bring up your kids for you.
No, he says no. He
He
says we are
wouldn't.
responsible for them. He says,
Yes.
these are the children that is an honor. That's a gift from God.
Yes. Yes.
And he says, spare the rod and spoil the child. There's a
Mm,
lot of scripture that tells us that we have a duty to bring up the child in the way they should grow.
they should go.
Because
Mm,
God doesn't need our help. That one.
mm,
So we can't do God's job for him.
mm,
But we have a duty and a responsibility to make sure, you can't. I think the questions we're asking, you can't take it all away from the children. But if you're able to instill some principles in them and then say, God, this information I have given to my child, help her absorb it, have an
mm.
understanding. In the time of decision making, Holy Spirit watch over her. And I think until we do that, we will have to wrap them up in cotton wool and
Yeah.
lock the door and throw the keys because
Mhm.
they do things that are eye opening. Sometimes, as I said, I have 4 girls, and some of the things I think, and then one of them will call me and say, Mom, don't overthink it. I said, it's
Right.
easier for you to say that. I said, don't overthink it. Don't overthink it because it's her choice, it's her decision she's making, and she's
Mm,
deciding to do this.
Mm,
So pray. That's what you know. Pray and hope that some of those background information that's there will come through. We
mm,
as adults, we're making decisions that are
mm.
crippling us sometimes, and we want to find our way back to God. Why is it that we're saying our children are going to be perfect?
Mhm.
We have the word of God. Let's
Yeah.
give them the principles that God has given us to give to them. And we are
Mm,
doing a good
yeah.
job. If
mm,
we talk to them, we are doing a good job. It's only if we leave them to the environment and the schools and the
mm,
circumstances that
mm.
they will train them if you don't put your bit in.
Yeah.
And the information they get, to be honest, as a parent, yours is only about 10%.
Mm,
Yeah.
You know, how is
Absolutely.
10% going to overrule 90% if the 10% is not quality enough?
Considering the fact that they are in school about 40 hours in
Yeah.
a week and they're with
Ah,
you about 24 hours in a week,
yeah.
except during summer break. And during
Yeah.
summer break, you have all of these activities
You
planned
have
out for
things
them.
going on. You don't even get the break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Daniela said, what helps is reading the lyrics and talking about messages behind each song. She
Yeah.
also said, I read the lyrics with my sisters sometimes and ask them the meaning of certain words.
Yeah.
And that makes me think. And Ayodele Taiwo
Brilliant.
says, pray with and for them, arm them with the principles.
Yeah.
I agree. Yes,
Yeah.
that's the most we can do as parents.
Yeah.
And that Danielle said something, and she said certain words. And I
Yeah.
don't want us to lose focus of our topic, but all of this is embedded in our
In the
topics.
word. Yeah.
And it's so funny because these days, all these kids have code,
Yeah. Yeah.
even for sex.
Oh, yeah. Have you seen WhatsApp? Now it's encrypted conversations. So you can have the phone, they can open it for you. That one you would know. You
It's so
can't.
funny. My daughter, we have like a social media law, and she knows it. And one of it is you are not downloading Instagram,
Mhm.
you are not downloading TikTok,
Yeah.
no Facebook,
Mhm.
until I know you are responsible enough or you're old enough to be responsible for those
To
apps.
manage it.
Guess what she did?
I don't
She
even want to get.
was she was 12 at the time. Was she 13? No, she was 12 at the time. A younger brother, I picked them up from school, and a younger brother was like, Mommy, guess what? Tobes downloaded was it
All the
TikTok
apps.
or Instagram? I was like, oh no, she can't. I trust her. At the back of my mind, she was there. He didn't tell me behind her. She was there.
Yeah.
At the back of my mind, I was like, oh my God, I am going to kill someone today. That was what would come to my, we're all parents. That's what comes instantly. Like, oh
Yeah.
my God, I
Yeah,
have
I
been
have been
told you.
disobeyed.
Yes. But then, and what I do, and that is something I am stopping now, but not
Yeah.
absolutely stopping. I tell them to bring their phone into my room every night at a certain time, and I go through it. And then, you know
So
what
much
she did?
work.
She actually downloaded this app, but she hid it
That's what I'm telling you.
somewhere inside our phone. And that was so heartbreaking for me as a parent. I have told you, we talked about this, we agreed, and that was the reason why you have a phone in the first instance. The phone is for you to call mommy or daddy if you are in distress.
Yeah.
If I need to reach someone and I can, I should be able to reach my daughter. But now you flaunt this rule, that's it. You're not having this phone. And she was apologetic. She was all of that. But the thing is, it's coded, like you said. They put it somewhere, hide it in plain sight. And you are like, what is this? So
Right.
in a situation like that, where
Mm.
everything is
No,
sexual,
I think African parents, we give ourselves more work
we do.
that are not necessary.
We
Because as
do.
soon as you do that, the trust building, you set yourself 3 steps back.
Yes.
You know, I mean, sometimes I say, what we didn't get, let's make sure our children have
Yes.
the freedom
Yes.
to be independent, to feel
Mm.
loved, and to make a decision. When we
Mm.
restrict them so much, they are so fearful. They're the least in their class.
Mm.
They're the one that's withdrawn because everything is. I want you to be able to explore. So do the exploring with me. I
Yes.
would be. Why did you do the app? What was your reason? Why is it that you couldn't wait
Mm.
for the time that I have set? Maybe I set it with an unrealistic time. Let's
Yeah.
have a conversation. Why do you think my decision was so wrong? You needed to do it.
Mm.
If you win this conversation, you're keeping the app. And but we don't open the floor for them.
Yeah.
We don't open the floor for them. Like my auntie said, maybe I should have been a lawyer.
Mhm.
He says to me,
No,
you
but
I
actually,
know.
you're right. You're right. Because in that instance, I told her,
yeah,
you downloaded it, you're going to uninstall this app, and we're going to
yeah,
have a
Mm.
serious talk afterwards.
yeah.
And lately, she's been asking me, Mommy, can I download Instagram? And I am like, why do you want to
Why?
download
What do you
Instagram?
need it for?
You have to for Pinterest. I told her, oh yeah, you can use my Pinterest. You can because she draws, she sketches,
Yeah, so she
and I
needs it.
understand that. You go through my own Pinterest, but
Right.
give me one good reason why you want to download Instagram. You know. So now
So
back
if
to
she
what.
needs Pinterest to draw, why can't she have it on her phone?
Oh no, she uses it on my phone. That's
Why can't she have that on her phone?
because because because
I like that.
the hot seat. Because she is 13.
We've got to
And you
let
see,
go little by little.
yes, and we have to be careful. There are
Yeah.
a lot of predators out there.
Oh,
Oh
they
yeah.
are.
Yeah,
They
so
are.
we have to be careful. And I don't just want to say, oh, you want that? Okay, fine.
No.
I want her to know that you earn it.
Hmm.
And so I have to be careful not to lose that privilege.
Lose that. Yeah. Yeah.
So for everything, we want them to understand that, yes, I earn
Mhm.
it. Then they are proud of themselves and then they
Mm.
are careful to guard it, not to lose it. You know.
Mm.
So now we have to go back. We've digressed a little bit, but
No,
let's
have we?
go back. As an African parent, Tayo, how would you tell your kids about safe sex and using contraceptive?
Well, so
I called you because you're the man, and I know
right.
topics like this are difficult for men.
Yeah.
Well, you're right, because I know a lot of I will not push for I will not again, I will not advocate for sex before
Before marriage. Yeah.
marriage. I will not advocate for that. I know a lot of friends who are like, well, Tayo, be realistic. let them do it, and but let them use contraceptive. And I think I when I think about why they tell me that, I could see their reason, and this is their
Mm.
reason. Their reason is that they have not built, if your child has not built up that inner strength
And principles, yeah.
and principles, and she also surrounds herself with friends who are already active sexually, that
Mm.
there is nothing you can do,
No.
because uh whatever you tell them, they won't listen. They will do whatever they want to do. You know. Uh you know, and so the question is that, what, so if they do whatever they want to do and they now come on and be like, well, daddy, I'm pregnant, what will you do? I'm like, well, hey, okay. I mean, we keeping the baby. I mean, you're a mom now, you have
Mm.
responsibility.
Mm.
Uh
Mercy.
you now have to, since I don't support this from day one, you are on your own. Of course,
Mm.
I'm going to support you, but you are really on your own. The consequences of your choice caught up with you, you know. But the reality is, and that was why I said that even before the question of safe sex comes in, we need to, even before that, although some people they may have missed that opportunity, their kids are now grown, they never had the opportunity to really look some of the factors we spoke earlier, like some of the music that they've been listening to, like all those Cardi B, Ice Spice, Beyonce, what do they call, Nicki Minaj, and all those people that are advocating sex. So a lot of kids are already, they have that in them, right? They have that in them that is like, okay, do it, because that's all what those people's songs are for, you know, inappropriate songs. But so personally, as a parent, I will let them know, listen, if you don't want to give your body to a guy that's going to sleep with you and move on from you in a couple of months, because he's not going to marry you. He's so young. He doesn't even,
No.
there's so
Yeah.
many, and even the boys too. I'm like, listen, a girl may be like, okay, I'll be caution you, because a lot of the people out there, they're already active sexually, hyperactive sexually, and, you know, and a lot of them are smart, very, very smart. The guys, the girls, they're smart. So all you can do to your child is to have a principle and a standard, and to say, listen, these are the standard for your decision making, and but there's consequences if you make a choice, and you have to live by the choice. But I will not say, well, go have sex, or like, because there's consequences to that, I know that I will not, I've been down that road before, and it's been terrible for me, you know, and I wouldn't want you to go through what I went
The
through,
same thing.
but if you make a choice, know that the consequences of your choice, it's something you have to live with.
That is a very that is very
Yeah.
touching, even to me. So in essence, you're saying that you won't even discuss the issue
The,
of
yeah. Yeah.
contraceptive with
Accepted.
your kids or safe sex.
Yeah, I will not talk, I will not advocate. I will advocate abstinence. I will advocate abstinence because, again, I will let them know that, listen, if you want, first of all, the person you're going to have sex with is going to have, it's not, you are giving your body to somebody that does not respect it and is going to leave. Another one will come. If you want to, you don't want to be a train. Is there what they call it? Run train? Is there like 21 or whatever, they have a slang for it, but I always say that, listen, your body is, you want to offer your body to your partner as a really, you want to take care of your body because your body is God's temple. But if you want to have sex, I may be like, okay, you want to have sex? Okay. Uh, Jesus is going to have sex with you. Meaning that whoever you want to have sex with, tell them, okay, uh, listen, yeah, let's have sex, but I'm not by myself. I just basically I'm trying to let them understand who they are, their identity, who they really are, who you really are. If you make a choice to say, okay, you want to sleep with somebody, remember that you're in Christ. That person is going to sleep with Christ, sleep with you. So it's important for us to push that identity or who they are, you know.
Mm.
And like the other person said, we just have to, you know, um, have that belief or standard and principle and say that, listen, it's a choice. You can either live by this, but this is the principle I stand for as your dad, and I've taught you this principle. But if you want to do something else, you have to stay with the consequences.
Mm.
Meaning that if you have a baby, well, go ahead. You're a mom now, or you're a dad now,
Well,
you
that is
know.
that is an
Yeah,
interesting
that's deep.
perspective. That is
Hmm.
an interesting perspective. And I
Yeah,
just want viewers out there, and just in case you're driving, you can't watch, you're listening, to understand that this is hands on practical parenting. We're not going by the books, we're not
no,
going by research. We're going by our own personal experience, which I know it's similar across board. Like I will always say, we're all on the same highway, but our exits are different, and the way we approach our exits are different.
hmm,
So I want you to know, this is not research. This is not, oh, based on research it is realized that, or found out that, or confirmed that. This is hands-on parenting. It's not by the books. Remember, when you first got pregnant, you didn't have a manual like, okay, this is how your
oh,
pregnancy is going to
yeah,
be. And if you have a boy, this is how the boy is going to start developing. This is how the boy will grow. Or if you have a girl, this is what happened. This is how it is. And this cuts across board, whether male or female, because these children all go through puberty. The way they
yeah,
express it is different. The way they respond to it is different. And as a parent, the way I approach situation is different from the way you approach it. But our aim is to have kids that have self-confidence, that have
yeah.
self-esteem, high self-esteem, that will not. I always tell my children this. I said, you're not gonna disappoint me. I may feel slighted, but you're going to disappoint yourself.
That's that's the whole point.
You're going to disappoint
Yeah,
yourself, because down the
yeah,
line you'll be like, oh, if I had known. It's not going to be me. I am living my life, and this is
hmm,
my life, and you are in my life, and I want us all to live cooperatively. But Barbara, would you encourage parents? Because
well,
personally, I
yeah,
think
I
if it
think
gets to a time
yes.
I will have to brush it with my
Yeah,
kids. I cannot.
yes.
Yes, I advocate abstinence.
Hmm.
I
But I'll discuss
seriously
it.
advocate
I'll
abstinence.
discuss it
Yeah, because
because,
the
like,
body is a temple.
yeah,
You treat your body like
yeah.
no dirt should be found on your body. And if
Hmm.
you chose to have a dirt on you, you'd better be sure that that dirt is worth it.
Mm, yeah.
You know,
And I think, like we said, it's a matter of principle and actually letting the person, the child, understand this is a decision you make
you make.
because you're saying to me, oh, I'm over 18 and I'm adult. You're an
Mm,
adult, you're making an adult decision. If you feel for whatever reason you can abstain, then I would rather you were safe
yeah.
rather than have go through life with a decision, a child you're not ready for, a whole change of your pathway, and also decisions that are going to impact you psychologically, emotionally. Because it is such a big decision for you as a young person. So for me, I would say to you, as a Christian, abstinence first. No sex before marriage. I've done my life until when I gave birth to you. You have the history. So I'm saying, for the good life, for the want of a better life for you, follow Christ. Don't do it until you find the man that you know. We are going to get married and then we're going to be together. If you decide to make that decision before, then I want you to be safe. I want you to consider the contraception that is out there. I want you to consider which type that is good for you. Let's talk about it, research it, make sure that also doesn't give you, because I mean, contraceptive is not just for preventing of pregnancy. Is there,
Yes.
sexual illnesses that this very person who's going around maybe having sex with everybody that has come to you, sorry, because I'm not, come to you, maybe carrying something that will also come into you. So if they're not going to be the person that you're with, they got to be wearing condom, because your contraception even is not going to protect you from sexual health. So there is a lot of difficulty in decisions that are hard for our young people now. When we were growing up, I mean, I said to my daughters, not to boast, when I was ready to get married at the age of 23, there was three guys that I needed to pick from. And I always say I picked the wrong one, but pick the wrong one. Typical me. Pick the I like the fly, the fly, the label, the professional, and the money. Yeah. And this is me single again. So I think it's actually,
Yes.
oh,
Single again.
reality is very important to me. I think,
Yeah.
in the exclusivity of everybody else in there, pushing information and pulling at my child, they will listen to me and do what is right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm also very, very aware that if I talking to my children and seeing what is out there, me myself, what I'm facing, it is
Mm.
very difficult to make that
Yes.
decision. So if
Yes.
my child hasn't been able to be the perfect angel, the idol of a God's own building, and decides to break, I don't want it to be that it also carries you and you make all of this decision.
Mm.
So yes, abstain, but if you can't, or
Be
I'm not
safe.
saying don't make the decision that you can't. If the circumstances get to a place where you're pushing a corner and that's happened, make sure you're safe.
Yes.
Make sure
Yeah.
you're safe, because I'm very much aware I'm not the only person influencing your life.
Yes. Yes. And
I'm not the only
we
person.
we as parents have to
Mhm.
um I know a lot of us from Africa and African diaspora and even African in motherland and fatherland, we are kind of very spiritual. Sometimes I think we over spiritualize everything, and I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with
No,
anybody,
no,
but
no, no, no.
my thing is abstinence is the best. But if you cannot, please play it safe. Beatrice Crawford says, talk to your kids, but always let them know every bad decision there is consequences regarding
Yes,
sex.
exactly.
And it's so funny. I am going to reference the Bible. The Bible says something that the only sin a man commits against himself is the sin of sexual immorality. And I'm sure I don't know what the Quran says about it. That's the book, the Islamic book. I don't know what it says about it,
Hmm.
but I am sure even in the trad of medicine, even in every sphere, everybody will tell you, if you're seeking something from someone, abstain from sex. If you want this, abstain from sex. That is one sin that I think will hinder you from a lot of things. And a lot of the time, even as parents, we were guilty of that.
Hmm.
A lot of the time we were guilty of that. And Alberta Ekosika Ado says, I agree with Bob, abstain until you meet the right partner. Now, my question before we wrap up is, I'll ask this question. I would want us once again to play our to go on break. And when we come back from break, I will ask my question. Take it away, producers.
Life has a way of surprising us, and sometimes that means finding ourselves single again. But that's single again with LFA and Babs. We believe in embracing change and finding beauty in every moment.
Join our community of strong individuals who are ready to take action and create a life they love. Together, we'll navigate the twists and turns of being single again, finding beauty in every moment. So whether you're redefining your goals, finding new passions, or simply seeking connection, let's embark on this beautiful journey together.
Search for Single Again with LFA and Babs on your favorite podcast platform. It's time to embrace a single again status and live a life that's lively, encouraging, and beautiful.
Single again
With LFA and Babs.
where your story
Begin.
And you and I both know, Barbara, professionally, abuse is abuse.
Yeah.
The cycle of abuse continues.
You need
The
to break
abuser,
it.
yeah.
Your story begins here. Single again. Single with LFA and Barbs.
Okay, welcome
Yeah.
back.
Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone, again. And finally, before we leave, I know we
Double
overshooting.
the time.
Yes. Finally, before we leave, one quick question: at what age do you think is appropriate for parents to start educating our kids about safe sex and contraceptive?
Why do we have to put age on it? Because when they talk, they do PSS, PSHE, whatever it is in the classroom, primary and secondary. So for me, I think as soon as you are ready to do the birds and the bees conversation with your child, you
Mm,
should be prepared to go the long way. Because if you are sitting down and talking to your child about sex and relationships and stuff, why is it that you can't add contraception to it at the same time? Because they're going to hear it from
yeah.
somebody else. So you need to let them understand the purpose of contraception. You know, having sex before marriage, we're saying it defiles your body. Contraception is the protection that stops you having a change of life. You
Mm,
don't know the sexual health or, uh, infection that you're going to get and how it's going to impact on your life. If you catch AIDS from somebody, they get the AIDS virus, it's for the rest of your life.
yeah.
There's a whole lot of things that's been stopped. And all because you didn't ask him or you didn't wear or you didn't ask him, or if you're a guy you didn't wear condom, so you picked it up. So if I'm prepared to talk to you about sex, I need to be able to talk to you about contraceptive. However, as I'm talking to you, I'm going to do it based on your level of
Understanding.
understanding and development. And
Right.
because it's an ongoing conversation, it's not a one-off conversation.
Awesome.
My chat with my child is not a one-off, because something I said last month, depends on where they were. They probably didn't take it in. A
Yeah.
topic comes up. If I go and say it again, it might be completely different to them. So ongoing conversation. So there's interchangeable. I will
Mm,
bring that in anytime I can.
awesome. Thank you so much, Barbara. Tayo, you have anything to add to it?
I agree with Bob. The earlier the better. All anything, everything is better when it's done much earlier.
Yeah.
Mm.
because you want to really, really get involved with your kids at a very early age. Because, like I said, social media is influencing them, YouTube and all the social media. And also in public school, I don't know about private school, but in public schools, they have sex education class, I think in very like
Mhm. Mhm.
middle
Yeah,
school.
they
That's
do
like,
here.
yeah. So it's important that you talk to your child openly about it, because
Mm.
what they're going to teach your child in school, you know, it's is better they hear from you first, or
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
Thank
I
you
think
so
what we
much.
started, one of the things we talked about also is, although we're saying speak to your child earlier, it's also very important that you're saying it in regards to their level of growth.
Mm.
Because, like you said, you took your 13-year-old to the doctors, and the doctor said, are you sexually active? And she's coming back to you, well, what's that mean, mum? Yeah.
mm,
We are also careful not to open them up
Up.
to these things. These days, like Tayo, you said, there was a topic we were talking about, so I had to Google it. They also have Google.
right,
Yeah.
right,
Yes.
So if you
Yes.
speak to them in a way that you yourself are not cautiously graduating it, and they need to go and find more because they realize mom was a bit embarrassed or mom was
right.
cagey in the way she was talking about it, they'll go and find out. And when
Yes.
they go to find out, they find out more than you
Mm,
want
Mm.
them to know. So I think we, as their children, make it light, grow up with them, and then when they are in a state where they think they're making a decision, my friend, my face will be squeezed. I have a thing I say to the child, you want the African woman in me to come out. It will. Because I can take my tongue, I can be your English girl, and I can be the Ashanti girl who can scream and frown and do all the things that makes people say, "Oh, the black woman is challenging." Because I want you to hear
Okay.
another in another
right.
On
level.
that note, thank you so,
Yeah.
so much.
So
As
yeah. So
always,
we have to.
Barbara. Barbara, it's like you co-host this show with me. The same thing with Tayo. Thank you so much. I really enjoy
You're very
having you
welcome.
guys on. And I'm going to end this show with this. Train your child away
Yeah.
of the Lord. So when they grow up, they won't depart from it. As parents, we also have to live by example. They will
Hey,
know what is good from bad. That is from
preacher.
Georgina Ofi.
Mm,
And hey, people, what can I say? What can
yeah.
I say? I am sure you agree with me that it is not easy to be a parent, right? We all struggle
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
all go through this. And please, for whatever you do, don't forget to share, like, subscribe to A Mother's Burden on YouTube, to Aaron's Place on Facebook, and for my single again, Mamas and Papas, join us on our podcast, SA with LFA and Bob. And Tayo will also be joining us soon. So it's going to
Definitely.
be them. I am assuring everyone out there from wherever you listen to your podcast on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn Radio. Just search for us, you find us there. And until then, please remember we are loaned these children. And at
Yes.
the
Mm,
end of the day, when the sun sets, we will give account of
Yes.
how
Leave an
we used.
example for them.
Yes,
The
yes,
kissing around the house.
yes. That's topic for next
It
session.
must be in the bedroom.
That is topic for next time. Until then,
Yeah.
mm.
from me, from Bob, and from Tayo, thank you so
Thank
much for
you,
Thank you.
joining.
everyone. Thank you
And
for tuning in.
you
God
well
bless you.
take care, everybody, and
Take care. Have a
stay
good week.
blessed.
Alrighty,
Bye.
enjoy.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye
Bye.
bye. Ah, where do I leave? Oh, I can't